again, everyone. I am here with an update on my fountain pen testing book and how I have that set up. So this is in a Galen A5 folio, and this is the nude color, or whatever they're calling their undyed leather, I forget. But I'll put a link down below to the prior video that I did on this setup, but I changed it around a little bit and kind of wanted to show you how I had done that. And what had instigated this is that this was just getting way too bulky because I was keeping fountain pen receipts and warranty card information and stuff in here, and it was getting really rounded on the top, and it was too unwieldy, and it made it harder to write on the pages. So I've done a little bit of a different setup here. I'm going to open it here in a second, but I'll show you the profile is quite slim actually, and it's been working pretty well. And I have been getting a little bit of ink on here because, you know, I'm using it as a fountain pen test book. So I'm actually really cool with this. I think it adds more character. This has darkened a bit, but it seems to be taking quite a while. I don't necessarily have it out in the sun. I suppose I could try to tan it, but it doesn't seem to be patinaing very rapidly. And you can tell even more from the back. It's not as dark as the front, but still it's pretty light on both sides. But I expect it to continue to patina over the years. So we'll see how it goes. And I actually just saw that Galen in the future, I don't know when, is going to be offering, I think it's B5 size of this particular folio. This is the A5 size, which I find very nice and not too big, not too small. But if anybody's looking for, I think B5 is similar to a composition size. One's a little bit bigger and one's a little bit smaller. I can't remember which. I think B5 is actually a little bit bigger than composition size. But if you want something really big to journal in, or, you know, use as an art journal or something like that, just know that they're supposedly going to be releasing that at some point. If they've already released it as of the time of this video, when I post it, I will put a link down below, but otherwise just keep an eye out. So basically I've taken all of the receipts that were in here and warranty information in here and taken them out, and I'll show you where I'm keeping those. So I'm actually keeping those in this A6 Hobonichi zip folio. And I was kind of struggling to find a use for this because I don't use A6 very often for journaling and that sort of thing. And this fabric folio kind of has a strange setup. And I don't know that I'm really still using it to its full potential, but this is how I have it set up now. Basically, I just have a stack of receipts and warranty information that I'm putting here. And I tried putting it in the back pocket because there is a back pocket where you could, if you were using this as a wallet or something, you could put cash or receipts or anything back there. I tried putting it back there and it just was a little bit too full with all of these. So I'm just placing those here. And then I have a little photo album also from Hobonichi, and I've just put the fountain pen stickers that were in this one in here, and it keeps them pretty well, and I still have some extra spaces. And then for business cards, actually this is all Franklin Christoph. There is the sort of certificate of authenticity, I don't think that's a word, certificate of authentication for the different nibs. So I've put those different cards in different places. Actually, no, I have a couple of Endless Pens warranty cards here. And this I just kind of threw in there. This was their little test sheet for when I got the steel flex nib from them. They had done a little test, and I thought it would be nice to include that here. So that's just off to the side. And I don't have anything back here, but I could expand back there to put more things. But I mean, this is just sort of to have everything in one place, because if I ever do need the receipts for anything or warranty information or anything, also if I plan to sell any of my pens, it might be nice to go back and look at the original receipt. I don't think I have the earlier receipts from when I was collecting fountain pens, but I mean, the earlier fountain pens that I was collecting were probably pretty cheap, like TWSBI Ecos and that sort of thing. So I don't think it's that important that I keep them. But this is how I'm keeping all that stuff that I took out of here. And this, I think, is, I mean, they change their lineup every year. I don't think that this particular color and design is available anymore. It's called Wooden Birds, but I'll see if I can find it. But if not, just know that they change their designs every year, and almost every year they have this type of folio, zip folio. They also have just regular sort of TN style folios, and by that I mean without a zipper. So Hobonichi has a lot of cool stuff. And I can't remember if I got this from Jet Pens or directly from Hobonichi, because you can get it both ways. And there are a few other retailers that also sell them. So just FYI for if you're liking that design. It might not be available, unfortunately. So put that out of the way. So this part hasn't changed. I still have 2 notebooks here slipped into the little folio, it's sort of like a slip pocket, but you could also put things that have the spine up at the top in here because the top is open. I think I might do that at some point with a Rhodia notebook or something. But right now I'm trying out this Nemesine notebook. So this is A5 with a spiral binding. And this has been working pretty well. I've taken some sheets out, which I turned into collage papers, which I will put a link down below to that video. But I still have some in here, and it's working pretty well. I also use this a lot whenever I tune nibs, and this was, I had a little ink spill incident when I was trying to fill a particular pen. This is Troublemaker Abalone, which is actually beautiful when it's in a large swatch, and but not so much in a thinner nib. But yeah, so this, I figure I'd take advantage of the spill and kind of put it all over the page here. But yeah, so when I smooth pens, I will work on them here and, you know, test them. And also, you know, when I get pens, I will test them a little bit on this paper. This is coated paper, and I've been fairly happy with it. Is it my ideal fountain pen paper? Probably not, and only because sometimes if I already have a nib that has some issues like with hard starts or baby's bottom or something like that, sometimes it'll amplify those problems just because the paper is so slick, because the ink can't absorb into the paper right away and kind of pull the ink down through the nib. So that is one thing that I'm not too crazy about, and sometimes it'll feel almost like squeaky on this paper, but you know, I think it's actually pretty decent paper, especially for fountain pens. It totally handles fountain pens, and it doesn't bleed through. As you can see, you know, like with the previous page, you could totally write both sides. And then back here, I have an old Tomoe River A5 notebook. I've also taken some of the pages out of here, but I mean, I kept my little nephew's drawing here. He's actually gotten really much better than this at drawing, just in a year or two. It's kind of amazing. But there are still some pages left in here. I was saving them, but I think, you know, at this point I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna use them because paper should be used, and that's kind of what it's there for. And then sort of shoved in here, I have a few little test sheets from Birmingham Pen Company. These are the sort of cream colored Tomoe River paper. And then I have a couple of these, which I haven't done anything with yet, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with them. These are little swatch sheets from Robert Oster. They came with some inks, I think, that I got. Okay, so that's this side, and then this side is the side that has changed more substantially. So I have this little Galen ruler, protractor, whatever, over here. I'm actually wondering if I could use this to determine what needle size I have for knitting needles, but I don't know. You could also draw little circles with these, and it's actually a pretty useful thing. You can use it for curves and all that kind of thing. I like it, and I like that it fits down into this pocket. I actually wonder if it was kind of designed for this because it's from Galen, but this pocket in the back is a little bit deeper than the rest because these are only business card size deep. So you can only really put business cards in them. But this one's pretty big, so this fits in there just perfectly. So I still have a couple of syringes here. I've expanded a little bit the eyedroppers that I have here. I have a set of tweezers, which comes in handy from time to time. I have a little cleaning cloth back here. These are business cards mostly for fountain pen companies. I decided to keep these in here because I figured if there was a company that I wanted to check out, it would be good to have that information in here. And then I have a little, this is for the Pilot Parallels. This is like a little flossing sheet for the nibs on the Pilot Parallels. And I kind of wedged it in there so I wouldn't lose it. And it's pretty tightly held in there. And I still have not used it yet, but I have this Ackerman nib polishing sheet back here. And then I have some little O-rings back in here as well. I think I have 2 little folders of those. And then here, so I have a couple of ollie clips, and actually this little TWSBI wrench sticks right to the ollie clip, so that's kind of nice. I won't lose it. This is the TWSBI wrench, so I figured it'd be nice to have that handy. I've put the Goulet grip in here, which is just a little rubber piece to help get nibs off. So basically, if I'm working on nibs, this is where I will turn to as well. And you'll see why when I show you what's in this little back pocket as well. And then this, I've only tried a time or two. This is a fountain pen snorkel from Pineider, and it's supposed to fit onto the converter, and then you can get down into the bottom of a bottle of ink. I've only tried it once, and quite frankly, I can't even, it was so long ago that I can't remember what pen converter I was using it with, and it didn't really work very well. So I need to try it again, and I'd actually misplaced this and couldn't find it for a little while. And when I found it again, I thought, well, I should put that in here so that that kind of thing is all in the same place. So back in here, so I have blotter sheets. I'm actually not going to take them out because they're kind of hard to get in and out. So I have various sizes of blotter sheets. I think I have some A6, B6 Slim, and A5. And then in these little things, I have a whole bunch of tuning and smoothing materials. So these were all from Goulet. There's actually some duplicates of these in the other little envelope that's back here. So in here, I'll just show you what I have. Some of this came with the tuning and smoothing kit, and some things I got in addition. So like these little brass sheets, this came in the tuning and smoothing kit from Goulet. They are to essentially floss the tines of your nibs, so those are kind of handy. It's really good if you have any kind of debris in your nib, or if you have pets and you have a lot of fur flying around. Sometimes fur will actually get stuck in the tines, and if you have issues with either hard starts or the ink sort of bleeding out from the nib, you can try flossing the tine of your nib to see if that makes a difference. And these are extras, which I'll explain in a minute, but this is micro mesh, so as you can see, it's fairly well used. The micro mesh will last quite a while. I did have a couple of pens that had like serious sharpness problems, and I have to say that I do check all of my nibs before I smooth them with a loop, which I don't have in here because it doesn't fit. But a loop is essentially, I have one that's lighted that actually came in the kit from Goulet. It has a little light on it, and then it's a magnifier so that you can take a look at your nib, make sure the tines are not misaligned, because if you start smoothing with misaligned tines, first off, you could do some damage to your nib, and second off, you could just be smoothing forever because it's that misalignment, and then you're basically trying to smooth off a whole chunk of your nib is what you're doing. So always check the alignment of your tines first with a loop. But I did have some fountain pens that scratched all the way through this not all the way through, but like this abrasive part, which doesn't feel abrasive because it's such a fine, it's micro mesh, so it's super fine. It gives you the number 12,000, and I don't know what the measure is, but basically I think the bigger the number, the smaller the grit, I think. Anyway, so yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. The bigger the number, the smaller the grit. That makes sense. So it's well used. I still use it. I may never have to replace this. The only issue with having all this ink on it is when I do handle it, I tend to get ink on my fingers. Actually, I don't know if this was from this or from messing with a pen earlier today, but when I'm like putting my hands here, like pressing down on it so that I can smooth, sometimes I'll get the ink on my fingers. Inky fingers are kind of, you know, a daily thing for me. So that's the micromesh. This is the Mylar paper. It comes in a little set. I think all of these things come, I'm actually going to put a link to Goulet's Tuning and Smoothing Kit because that will have the majority of the stuff in it. And so they're two different, I don't want to say grits, but because this is like super, this is basically for polishing your nibs after you've smoothed it. But it actually makes quite a difference. I've definitely noticed it. But you would use this, which one do you use first? Can't remember if you use the white or whichever one is, because this is 1 micron, this is 0.3 microns. I think you use this one second, this one first, and then basically you do the same kind of polishing motion that you would do on the micromesh, just on here, and it will polish it up. And again, I had a couple of things that weren't entirely smooth enough before they came to the polishing stage, so I have gone all the way through to the clear plastic background in a couple of places, but I worked it out. So then these are actually, I purchased separately. They are different grits of sandpaper that I have used to make custom grinds of my own, which I will profile on the channel at some point. I was actually super excited to find that I could make my own grinds at home with just sandpaper. I've only tried making a stub nib and an architect nib, and both turned out really well. So I think I will profile probably them both at the same time so that you can see, and I'll do a writing sample and everything. But basically, for the stub nib, I used a tutorial from Endless Pens, actually, that they posted. And when I read the article, I thought, well, this seems really easy. So I went ahead and tried it, and it is really easy. You basically just have to keep things at a certain angle when you're grinding on the sandpaper. You go from, you know, a bigger grit to a smaller grit, and then the tutorial from Endless Pens, which I'll actually put down below, called for 800 and 1500 grit. These are just 3M sandpapers. They actually were marketed, I got them from Amazon, and they were marketed as sandpaper for cars, for like smoothing the finish on cars. I was kind of surprised by that. I'm not a big car buff, so I have cars, but you know, I'm lucky if I wash my car. So I basically view my car as like a utilitarian instrument, and I'm not a supercar fanatic, but I was surprised to see that. But I will put a link down below to these along with the tutorial so you can see where I got them, and then you'll have everything you need if you want to go ahead and try that tutorial. So that's what I have in here, and I've used this stuff so much more than I thought I would at the beginning. I basically went from being terrified of messing up any of my nibs to just saying, ah, the heck with it. I'm just gonna try it out, and I figure if I mess something up, you know, so be it. I'll start with the cheaper pens, right? But I haven't messed anything up yet. And even with the grinding my own custom grinds, I started with just, you know, plain old, like a medium size Hyowo nib, and because I thought, you know, I'll start with those, and then if I ruin it, oh well, you know, I'm out like, you know, $12 for the nib. But they turned out really well, so I was really kind of surprised about that and excited. But that's what I have in here, and like I said, the other envelope back here just contains some extra, I think it just contains extra Mylar paper, but I can't remember, because I think I bought Mylar paper separately before I bought the whole kit. Basically, I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just like, oh, I need that, and it was really cheap. But now that I know what I'm doing, I know what I need, and this is a much more functional setup than it was before, because basically it was just a mound of paper over here before with all of those receipts and warranty information, but now it's very functional, as far as being a tuning and smoothing area. Like I said, the only thing that's not in here really that I would need for tuning and smoothing is the loop. So I just have the loop somewhere else, and then I have everything else I need in here. You know, if I needed a different wrench for some other pen, I don't know. I don't know if they're standard. I've only taken apart my TWSBIs, so I don't know. That's something that I've still been a little hesitant to do, is take pens apart, because then I figure, oh, if I've taken them apart, how am I going to get them back together? But anyway, it's a progression. But anyway, that is a very long-winded way to say, here is my new setup. Oh, and here I have the key ring that went here. I found that it was kind of interfering with the folio closing, so I've just put it in here for safekeeping, and you know, whether I'll use it or not for something else, I don't know. But it's very handy. It's not super bulky anymore. I will probably continue to swap out the paper that I'm using in here so that I can try out different papers. It's kind of a great way to try different papers. Just get an A5 notebook of some kind in here and go through it. I still do plan to do some paper testing eventually. I've just been really busy with work and have not had a chance to plan those kinds of videos, because that kind of thing where I'm testing different things and I want to make sure I have a plan for everything, it does take a little pre-planning and time, and I just have been crazy busy. Work's been crazy, let's just say that. And a lot of changes, both related to the pandemic and just staffing changes, etc. Anyway, I won't go into that. I don't want to talk about work on this channel. This is not my work channel. But anyway, that's all I had for you today. So feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. And I hope to see you next time. But in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.